All right, guys, today we are going to talk about dividing mixed numbers. We are going to take some notes over it. I know it's not usually what you're used to, taking notes at home, but we're virtual. We got to keep going. So you should have a copy of these notes if you were here on Friday. We passed them out to you guys before you went virtual. So I would love if you could pause this video right now, find these notes, find something to write with, and then you can play it again. If you do not have these notes, either because you were absent or you lost them, whatever the reason is, get some scrap paper out so you can still do the examples and stuff with us. So like I said, if you need to pause the video so you can get something out, do that now. Play it when you're ready. For those of you that are ready now, we're going to go ahead and start going through this. So when we're dividing mixed numbers, we need to remember how to turn them improper because we need to turn our mixed numbers into improper fractions. So to do that, we're going to do the bottom times the whole plus the top. We've done this for like 2 weeks now. You guys are pretty good at it. Always take bottom times the whole plus the top. Then we can actually move on and start talking about how we divide these fractions. So you do not need a common denominator, same as before. But if you have a mixed number or you have a whole number, first turn them into improper fractions. After you make them improper, then you're going to go ahead and divide like normal. So you guys know when we divide, really what we're doing is we are multiplying by the reciprocal. We taught you 3 easy steps to divide by the reciprocal. The 3 easy steps are keep your first fraction the same, change division to multiplication, and flip your second fraction. So you're going to do keep, change, flip after you make your numbers improper. At this point, it's a good spot to check to see if you can cross cancel or cross simplify. That's where you're looking at your numbers that are crisscross from each other, diagonal from each other, and you're going to see if you can divide them by the same thing. What this does is it makes your numbers smaller and easier to work with. So it's not something that you have to do, but it does make your problem easier. So this picture here shows you an example of that. You have the 8 and 4 that are in green and they're diagonal from each other. They're both divisible by 4. So when cross cancel, 8 divided by 4 is 2. 4 divided by 4 is 1. The 9 and the 3, they are diagonal or cross from each other. They're both divisible by 3. So when we do 9 divided by 3, we get 3. And 3 divided by 3 is 1. So cross canceling just makes our numbers smaller and easier to work with. So at this point, we have made our numbers improper. We have done keep, change, flip. We've cross canceled if we can. The next thing we're going to do is multiply straight across, top times top, bottom times bottom. And always at the end, we're checking to see if we can simplify again, just in case. So that might mean making an improper back into a mixed number. So this picture shows exactly the steps we just talked about. First, you're going to make your mixed numbers improper. So 2 1/3 is an improper, is 7 over 3. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. And 3 2/5 is an improper, is 17 over 5. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 2 more is 17. Then you're going to do your keep, change, flip. So we keep 7 over 3. Change division and multiplication, flip our second fraction, and from there multiply and simplify. So go ahead and flip to the back where our examples are, and we're going to do some of these together. So remember, make sure you have something out to write with, you have something to write on. Hopefully it's the paper version of these notes. So my first problem is 1 2/3 divided by 1/4. First thing I need to do is make 1 2/3 improper. I'm going to do bottom times the whole plus the top. And I'm going to get 5 over 3. When I rewrite my division problem, I want to keep it in the same order. So it's going to be a 5 over 3 first, because that was just what my 1 2/3 is as an improper. Still have my division sign, and then 1/4. From there, normal division. Keep, change, flip. So it's going to be 5 over 3 times 4 over 1. This is a good spot to see if you can cross cancel. Unfortunately, on this one, you're not going to be able to. 5 and 1 do not share any common factors. Neither do 3 and 4. So we're going to have to multiply straight across and check to see if we can simplify at the end. 5 times 4 is 20. 3 times 1 is 3. That is an improper fraction. We do not want that as a final answer. So we're going to have to turn that back into a mixed number. You can either set up division, top number on the inside, bottom number on the outside, or you can just kind of talk it through. I do think these are small enough numbers that we can just talk this one through. So 3 can go into 20 6 whole times. We got that answer by thinking about our multiplication facts of 3. 3 times 6 is 18. That's the closest we're going to get without going over. Since it didn't go in perfectly, I am going to have a fraction left over. So from 18 up to 20, my leftover is 2. And my denominator is 3 because it has not changed. So my final answer for this one is 6 2/3. Go ahead and get ready for the next problem. 5/6 divided by 3 1/2. Again, you have to make your mixed number improper first. So 3 1/2 is an improper, is going to be 7/2. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. When I rewrite this, my order is really, really important to keep it the same. So 5/6 didn't change at all. I'm going to leave it first. 3 1/2, I just changed to 7/2, but it's still going to go second in my list. From there, you're going to keep change flip. Another way to say that is multiply by the reciprocal. So that's going to become 5/6 times 2/7. You're going to check to see if you can cross cancel. This one you can. If I look at my 6 and my 2, they're crisscross from each other, and they're also both divisible by 2. They're both even numbers. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So I'm going to cross out both those numbers and put what I got when I divided them. Now my number's smaller and easier to work with. 5 times 1 on the top is 5. 3 times 7 on the bottom is 21. And that is actually in simplest form. 5/21 cannot be simplified any more than that. So that's our final answer for that one. If you're not done copying these two down, go ahead and pause the video, finish copying, and then play when you're ready. Because I'm going to go ahead and scroll up and do the next two. All right. So I've got 5 divided by 2 3/4. I've got a whole number and a mixed number. Both need to become improper. We practiced with whole numbers last week. So to turn a whole number into a fraction, we just put it over 1. 2 3/4, however, I have to do bottom times the whole plus the top. So 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 more is 11/4. If you notice, my order stayed the same. I did not change my order. 5 is still first, and my mixed number is just turned into an improper, but it's still second. From there, you will keep, change, flip. 5/1 times 4/11. This is where you would check to see if you can cross cancel. Unfortunately, you cannot. So 5 times 4 on the top is 20. 1 times 11 on the bottom is 11. And this is another improper fraction that we have to turn back into a mixed number. So 11 can go into 20 one whole time. That gets us up to 11 because 11 times 1 is 11. So to go from 11 up to 20 or to get my leftover, I could subtract them. And I'm going to get 9 left over. My denominator stays the same. So my answer for that one is 1 9/11. Almost done. 2 left. My next problem, I have 4 7/8 divided by 1 2/5. Both of them are mixed numbers. Both need to become improper. So 4 7/8. I'm doing bottom times the whole plus the top. And I'm going to get 39/8. 8 times 4 is 32, plus 7 is 39. 1 2/5 is going to become 7/5. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. When I rewrite this division problem, I need to keep my order how it was. The only thing I'm changing is them into impropers. So instead of 4 7/8, I'm going to put 39/8 in my division sign. Instead of 1 2/5, I'm going to put 7/5. Now I can keep, change, and flip. This one, I am dealing with really big numbers, and unfortunately, I cannot cross simplify. So this is going to be the toughest problem on the page, but we just need to multiply straight across. So for 39 times 5, you're just going to have to set up off to the side, 39 times 5. You would work that out, and what you would end up getting is 195 on the top. On the bottom, it's a little bit easier. 8 times 7 is just going to give you 56. And now we have another improper that we need to simplify. I'm dealing with big numbers. I'm dealing with tough numbers. When you're doing that, I would try and estimate or round those to something easier to work with. So 195 is really, really close to 200. And 56 is right in the middle of 50 and 60. I think 50 is easier to do mental math with. So when I'm trying to figure out how many times 56 can go to 195, I'm basically going to count up my 50s until I get to about 200. So 50 times 1 is 50. 50 times 2 is 100. 150, 200. So it's going to be about 4 times. A good guess would be 3, 4, or 5 times. since I've obviously already done this, I know it goes in 3 times. So I'm going to work out 56 times 3 off to the side. You work that out, you're going to end up getting 168. So I know it goes in 3 whole times. I know that gets me to 160. To find my leftover or to find my numerator, I need to find the difference or the distance between 168 and 195. Easiest way to do that is with subtraction. So 195 minus 168. You work that out, you do that math, you do have to borrow here. You're going to get 27. Your leftover always goes on top. Your denominator always stays the same. And 27 over 56 cannot be simplified anymore. So that's my final answer, 3 and 27 over 56. If you do not have those two copied down, go ahead and pause, finish copying, and we're going to do the last one here next. A rectangle has an area of 9 5/8 inches square. If the length is 2 3/4 inches, then what is the width? We actually did one of these on, I think it was Wednesday, when we did proper fractions. We talked about how area of a rectangle is always going to be length times width, and we're going to plug in the information we know. So if I know the area is 9 5/8 inches, it's going to plug in for the letter A because that's what stands for area. If I know my length is 2 3/4 inches, it's going to plug in for the letter L because L stands for length. I don't know my width, so it's actually going to stay a letter W. It's an unknown number I don't know, right? So this is actually one step equation which you haven't really learned yet, but I want you to think about logically what you would do here. You know that 2 3/4 times some mystery number is going to give you that area of 9 5/8. So what you need to do is kind of work backwards. Working backwards would mean you're going to have to do division. If you're trying to find out what that other number you need to multiply is, you can find that by dividing. So you're going to take that total area, 9 5/8, and you're going to divide it by the length 2 3/4. Now this is like those problems we just did earlier. We need to make them improper. Bottom times the whole plus the top. 8 times 9 is 72, plus 5 is 77. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11. Now that I've made them improper, I'm going to keep, change, flip. And even though I'm dealing with really, really big numbers here, I can thankfully cross simplify. So that's what we're going to do next to make our numbers smaller and way, way easier to work with. So the more obvious one is the 8 and the 4. They're crisscrossed from each other and they're both divisible by 4. So 4 divided by 4 gives you 1. 8 divided by 4 gives you 2. So I've crossed those out and put the 1 instead of the 4 and the 2 instead of the 8. I can actually also cross simplify with the 77 and 11. I can divide both of those by 11. 11 divided by 11 is 1. 77 divided by 11 is 7. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this division problem with my new numbers because I have a lot crossed out there. Instead of writing 77 over 8, I'm going to write my new numbers, 7 over 2. Instead of writing 4 over 11, I'm going to write my new numbers, 1 over 1. And that is way easier to do math than 77 times 4 and 8 times 11. So when I multiply straight across, I get 7 over 2. That is an improper. I do want to make that a mixed number. So I'm trying to figure out how many times 2 can go into 7. Think about your facts of 2, 2, 4, 6. It's going to go in 3 times. That gets me to 6, so I have 1 left over out of 2. I'm just going to throw in my label of inches. 3.5 inches is your final answer. So, done with the notes. If you have questions about anything, email your teacher. If you need to rewatch this notes video a couple times or just parts of it, do that. And if you're ready to go ahead and move on to your next assignment.